Boys and girls, while Jesus was here on earth, he said that he was the light of the world, and he also said that we are the light of the world. And he told us especially to let the good things we do shine out so that other people can see the good things and not see the good things and say, oh my goodness, you're so amazing, but see the good things and say, wow, look at what God is like. Because they don't look at us and see us, they look at us and they see God doing these wonderful things through us. So, of course, when Jesus teaches things, he doesn't just say, do it, and then have that be all. We know, for example, he gives us his spirit to be inside of us to help us do those things, but he also talked and taught about how to do those things. He did those things in his life a lot. We looked at pictures of that yesterday. He told us directly some things that we could do that were shining our lights. We looked at some of those when we were looking in the Sermon on the Mount. And the thing we're going to talk about today is he told lots of stories. There was one story in particular that tends to be people's favorite story about shining like a light. Now, I know a lot of you are familiar already with the story of the Good Samaritan. So, with this story of the Good Samaritan, it's really important to keep in mind what a Samaritan actually was to the Jews. Remember, Jesus was Jewish and he was talking to Jewish people, and most of the Jews thought that the Samaritans were the worst of the worst. You know, we talked earlier this year about worshiping idols. Well, Jews saw Samaritans really as worse than people who worshiped idols because they were people who kind of knew about God and kind of mixed worshiping God in with worshiping idols. And I think the Jews thought, well, you know, at least if people worship idols, maybe they have the excuse they don't know any better. But if the Samaritans are kind of worshiping God, then they should know better. And you shouldn't kind of worship God and kind of worship idols. So they thought Samaritans were just the most horrible things ever. In fact, if they were really, really hungry, they wouldn't go eat with Samaritans. If they were really, really thirsty, they wouldn't take a drink from a Samaritan. They would stay far away. In fact, the priests and the Pharisees and the teachers of the law, the people who wanted to be really holy, they wouldn't even get near a Samaritan because you never know, like their ickiness might rub off on you. And they wanted to make sure they were always really good and holy and just the very best. So in this story today, you're going to be hearing the story Jesus told. Now we're going to watch this story again tomorrow in a different version, right? Because none of us were there. So we don't really know what it looked like. We have the Bible words that Jesus said, but sometimes we don't always understand exactly what those meant. So in the description of this video, I'm going to link 2 videos that show you this Bible story. You don't have to watch both of them. Watch the first one. If you want to watch the second one, you can. We're going to watch different versions of it just to get different impressions of it. And boys and girls, now this story is pretty dramatic about something really terrible that happened and a really obvious way to let your light shine. But remember, I told you yesterday you were supposed to come up with 2 examples of shining your light. Well, today I want you to have at least one more example of shining your light. Now, you're not likely to have something happen like the Samaritan and run across someone who is all beat up and smashed by the side of the road, but maybe it will help you think of something else you could do that would be shining your light, letting your good deeds shine before people so that they'll give glory to God. So your assignment for today, after you watch the video of the story, is to write or draw about another way you could shine your light and send me a picture of that.